I'm glad
How's
to
it
see
going?
Keemstar's still alive. Thank God. Had a bit worried there.
False alarm.
You know, they can't take you this early, mate. You've got a lot more people to piss off yet, man.
I know, right? It's funny looking at some of the celebrations. I
Oh,
even
Jesus.
have like family members texting me being like, please say it's true.
That's love right there.
It's actually so toxic that people actually kind of mean it. I've seen like, you see like on Twitter sometimes people getting murdered. And you don't want to see it. It comes up on your feed and you see something, and then there's comments underneath that are embracing it like it's a good thing, and you're just like, the fuck kind of people are existing in this world right now?
Welcome
Have
to
you
the
seen
internet.
Instagram Reels comments? Instagram Reels
No,
comments are actually the most unhinged thing on earth. Like it's
Dude,
unbelievable.
TikTok comments are even worse. Like horrible. Like absolutely. You're like, you can't believe that this is not being like regulated or whatever.
it's crazy. Nothing shocks anyone anymore.
Yeah, the
So
internet's like its own metaverse, right? You know, when the NFTs and stuff were becoming really popular, and they were saying in the future we're all gonna live with in a metaverse with our VR and whatnot, and you can pick whichever character you want to be. That exists right now on the internet. That's Twitter. That's like that's its own metaverse, right? It's like you got all these different people playing characters. It's not real.
Well, that's the thing. In person, how many people, Keem, I'd say out of all of us on here, you get the most hate on the internet out of all
That's
of
a
us.
real achievement, by the way, Keem. Don't let anyone take that away from you. Because to say you get more than me and Mams, that's an
Yeah,
achievement. You've
it
done
is.
well.
But in real life, how often do people come up to you and say something rude or crazy or threatening or anything like that?
I've never had anyone in real life come, and I go out in public. I've never had someone come up and be like, you're an asshole or whatever. Like it's always been love in real life.
What does that tell you? Isn't that fucking crazy? I've
I don't
never had
know.
one person come up to me and say anything negative at any
I
of
must
these events.
admit, I might have slapped someone who made a joke that was a little too friendly once, but that was we'll leave that for allegedly that might have happened. But generally, it is lovely. You're right.
It
Yeah.
is, isn't it? So
Yeah.
it just baffles me. If I don't know, if I it takes a special kind of character to get on the internet to type out hatred towards someone that they don't know, and repeatedly I see some of these repeat offenders, which just every time you post something, they're over there trying to shit on something, but they see you in real life, it's hushed silence, isn't it? Or they'll
Yeah.
shake your hand and ask for a picture. So anyway, it's a funny one. So guys, Misfits 13,
Lucky
definitely
number 13.
lucky number 13 was really, it's, what can I say? It was not my most fun Misfits to be at. And we knew it was coming, but we told the police department, and they acknowledged it and said no problem. And then the SWAT team arrived still, and we kept them off. We thought we were making headway and progressing with like not actually having to evacuate, and then someone from some office made the call and said, no, you have to, just in case. And I was like, if there was a just in case, I wouldn't have my own kid in this building, you know. But yeah, it definitely disrupted us. It got people talking, but that's not really what I want people to be talking about. But regardless of that, what I was proud of is we actually maintained a good amount of people stuck around for an hour and a half and came back in, and we finished the card. And obviously the main event was not what we expected it to be. Well, what's your summary of everything from that card?
I mean, I'll say like for me, me and Todd tried to stay when they were evacuating everyone. We're like, yeah, we'll stay, we'll finish this fight, we'll keep the broadcast going and like clear everyone else out. and they were just like, no, that's not going to happen. But I will say, in retrospect, I feel like it felt a lot more dramatic to us and on, and just viewing because of an interruption. When in reality, like if you actually look back at the card itself, if we hadn't lost that fight between Yeti Gang and Croc, that was going to be probably fight of the night. It was one of the most skilled fights of the night for sure. The girls had just put on a great fight. Joey Knight just had a great knockout. Taylor Holder came in, he had a good knockout. Kind of weird. I think the other guy had a crazy adrenaline dump or got hurt and then just wasn't able to recover. But the actual fights themselves, when you look at it, fine. Like they were all pretty good, except for obviously what happened in the main event, and then the Vitali fight was weird too because Modine was just obviously not down to scrap. But if you actually look at the card, the only problem is fight cards have to build. They have to build throughout the course of a night, and the hype builds and the intensity builds. And so when you kind of just throw a wrench in the middle of it, kind of sucks out the energy, and it was hard to get that energy back. But if you actually like look at it on a fight by fight basis, there was only one or two fights that weren't perfect, and that's kind of the case with most cards, really.
I agree, and I think that's a very optimistic outlook on it. I think it would have been what you said had the main event performed and had Most Wanted not actually shown up for the fight. I think that just put, like, honestly, almost everything that could go wrong kept going wrong, So I saw a lot of people saying Nashville's cursed. And Keem knows last time we did Nashville, we pulled it off, but we had like 18 different changes for the fight card. But people pulling out, people changing their mind, all kinds of stuff. So maybe it'll be a while before we go back to Nams's hometown.
Yeah, this event was a complete disaster. I forgot some of the fights that were actually good. I literally forgot them because when I think of this event, I think of Modine not fighting. I think of the production not so good. I'm thinking of the swatting, and then I'm thinking main event. Where both opponents didn't show up to fight Fox the G. Like that's how you see it. And you do forget there were a couple good fights on there. But yeah, complete disaster. It was Apollo 13 and Houston wasn't picking up the phone.
Yeah.
It's funny. That's exactly how I felt like on the night. And then I was talking to people afterwards that was like bumping into me. Just, I don't know why, but people have been bumping into me lately. And every person was like, dude, it was great. And I was like, was it? I was like, really? Like, you thought it was great? And they were like, yeah, bro, I liked it. I was like, all right, man. So I think that honestly, like on our side, we're like, wow, how could we possibly do this? And the people that were viewing it were kind of like, all right, some drama, like they thought it was like.
I'll be honest. I want to. It's awkward because I feel like there was some good things about the show, but the way I look at content, and it's exactly the same way I look at fight promotion, is Misfits are a restaurant, right? I treat my own podcast like a restaurant. If you serve a bad meal, people are a lot less likely to come back, and you have to hit a certain standard with every event that goes out. And this was below that standard, and some of that was for reasons out of Misfits' control, like this fucking. Like having arguably the most skillful fight of the night being interrupted is just such bad luck for a start. But then, this Modine character, I don't really know him, but to not even throw a punch is a disgrace. And then for like Vitali to be congratulating him afterwards, being like, you got it. I'm like, mate, no, this is horrendous. And that's something that that should never, ever happen again in a Misfits fight where someone gets in there and doesn't throw a punch. I didn't think the attitude of that Chris Avia guy, acting like he's too good for Misfits afterwards. There's a reason you're here. You ain't done shit in your own career, bro. So don't start acting like you're better than anyone. You're not, mate. Your record's horrible, actually. So like that annoyed me a little bit. And then the main event for Most Wanted to not make the walk. I feel like that had been coming all week. And if he'd just been able to tell people in time, I'm saying this because I spoke to Joey Knight, and Joey was the one who helped him get on the airplane when he didn't know how to, helped him with his wake up when he didn't know how to. And I'm talking about Joey sending his own coach that he's paying when Joey's in his weight cut, but he's a pro, so he's only got like a little bit to cut. Most, on the other hand, didn't know what he was doing, was way out. He then sent this guy to him. And I don't want to dig the guy up because he's a young kid, but the reality is he'd made comments to Joey previously about, he said something along the lines of, I kind of hope the other guy gets in there first and gets chinned so I don't have to get in. Now, when you're saying that before you've got to do a fight, man, just tell someone. Do you know what I mean? I wish he'd spoken to him sooner so that something could have been done so that this didn't happen right at the last second. And yeah, there was just a few things where people's characters really let the show down.
I have
Yeah, I'll
to
say.
take. Sorry, Riley. I
No, I
have
was
to
just
take
going
the.
to say that.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
You're right, man. Go for it. Go for it. Go for it.
Okay.
You're up.
I have to take the blame for that. The fighter selection, I've got to be more strict, and I tend to see the best in people and believe, and it's not that I'm naive. I want to believe that they see the opportunity the way I want them to see it, which is, you know, it's a big opportunity.
I don't think it's unrealistic, Mams, for someone who's signing up for a boxing match to be expected to throw punches. So I don't think you're that naive, mate. Like, that's just the job that you've signed up for. Do you know what I mean? So these two, like, I just think the only thing I would say that was wrong on Misfits' behalf is the main event being the main event and putting the pressure of the spotlight on people who weren't ready for it.
You're right, and that's something I should have taken into account. And the whole thing was, I've been very honest about it with Fox and with Most and with Evil as well. I said to Most Wanted, I said, Fox, I'm gonna put you on a 2-on-1 match in the main event. And you know, the main event was offered previously to Slim, a couple of other guys. Ramadan definitely was a factor, and I thought this is a great opportunity for Fox to continue to build his star since he's not in the tournament and build the story. And I called Most Wanted and Evil and told them, look, I'm doing this for Fox, but if you can put a spanner in the works and stop my intentions from working out for Fox, then the narrative changes and you have the spotlight. I know there's a purpose for me doing this. It's not for you guys, but here's an opportunity. Do you want it? And they're like, hell yes. And they were so excited about it. And Most kept telling me, look, I know you're trying to build Fox, but I'm gonna thwart your plans, basically. And I was convinced he was really taking it seriously. But it's a tough one because, you know, you have to choose the right fighters. It's a 2-on-1. I wanted it to be somewhat even, but also have Fox have a realistic chance of beating 2-on-1. But either way, no excuses. It's my responsibility, and I'll definitely be vetting future talent. The small creator thing, you know, become a big creator. I'm not saying it won't ever happen if an opportunity doesn't present itself and there's a pullout, but on the whole, let's keep this back to basics of what it should be.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I was saying was, I mean, Keem, you mentioned in the group chat after the Modine fight, you were like, you should have, like, the presenter should have been roasting these guys. And I read that and I was like, you know what, bars. Like, I'm an optimist. I'm not usually a negative guy. But then when that main event happened, I made sure to be like, yo, both these guys quit. Like, the guy in there, I forget which one it was. He gets pushed down. He's like, oh, back of my head. I was like, dog, you're quitting. Just quit. Like, be a man. Like, why are you pretending to fight? Like, it just blew my mind. So I tried to make sure to give him that heat, like, you know, because it was just really unfortunate that these guys took this opportunity and squandered it.
I was so frustrated with Vitali versus Modine because that was the internet fight, right? This is the fight that I personally am most excited about, and drama alert and whatnot. This was for Team Internet, and when that played out the way it did, you know, you guys were just trying to be nice, right, on commentary, and I'm like, roast them. I want to see blood from the commentary team being like, Modine, you told everyone you trained for this. What did you train for? To not throw a single punch? Like, I just wanted you guys to go in. But you know, it's the first fight of the night, right? You're still like getting comfortable. I know how it is. You know, I've done commentary before. But yeah, if you had a do-over, I would have given him hell on comms.
I think we did make references throughout the night, and maybe we could have gone harder, Riley, but I think we did somewhat make fun of him. It's a tough one because it was still, I know this sounds terrible, but it was still entertaining in the most car crash terrible way, because why is this guy, like you're asking, why is this guy not doing anything? He's in there, he's got this intense look in his eyes, and Vitali's not the greatest boxer, but he's just, I don't know. Listen, it definitely didn't live up to its hype in the ring. I think we always knew it wouldn't, but the extent of how badly Modine performed, he should be ashamed of that. He should be. And it's difficult to discredit Vitali because at least he showed up and he fought, and you know, the build up towards that fight was entertaining. He's just, I don't know how much time these guys have put into actually training for boxing. But what do you do? And this is an important thing for us to discuss. We are still crossover boxing, which includes a lot of influencer boxing. So do we keep guys like this off the future cards because there might be they discredit the whole space, or is the car crash circus value still entertainment that should be a small part of what we're doing? That's a really good question that I
mean,
wanted to pose to you.
One solution potentially, I mean, it doesn't prove anything for sure, but it definitely would give us an idea. I would be demanding, because of this, normally this wouldn't obviously be a thing, but because of this, I would demand to see some sparring footage from everyone before you come to the show. I want to see just the mums, so that it's completely trustable. It's not going to get out. It's not going to go anywhere. You don't have to worry about anything because you know how paranoid they get. Show us you sparring. I want to see you taking punches, throwing punches, the bare minimum. If you can't do that and you don't want to send that, then you're obviously not going to be showing up very good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
we
think that's
have to have confidence. We have to have some confidence that they're gonna try, that someone's gonna try. Like in that fight, Modine was literally running away, turning his head and running away from Vital. You can't have that, you know, because then it's like, what's the point?
Yeah, like my thing isn't I agree with both of you guys. My thing isn't a skill thing. I don't think that we need guys to be at high level because realistically, even the best of our fighters really wouldn't be super high level in the pros. So that's not the argument. And honestly, Modine Vitali would have been a fun fight if Modine had just been in the pocket clanging and banging with him, right? Like, sure, it's not high level, but it would have been fun. Everyone would have enjoyed it. Everyone would have seen someone get hit hard. And so I don't think that I agree with both these guys. Right? I don't think it's a skill thing that we need to be focusing on. I think it's the will to fight. Are these guys sparring? Are they getting hit in the head? And are they returning and throwing? It doesn't matter if they're high level about it, but they got to be in there. They got to be willing to take a punch. Yeah.
And Modine won his fight against General G a few weeks before that.
How bad was that guy? Who was that guy? Because that fucking hell, lad. What was he, a ghost? Jesus Christ.
But they were going for it. They were going for it, you know, all out.
Yeah.
And so I wonder if Modine got intimidated by Vitali, his size. I don't know. Look, another topic I wanted to speak about is we are going to implement in the contract that you can't make disparaging remarks about Misfits during fight week and after fight, you know, at least for a time period after fight week. Now, if you have a terrible experience, look, Chris Avia, you mentioned earlier on, Brian, he said, "Hey man, I'm sorry. I didn't mean it. It was just," and I kind of understood. I just wish he publicly said this to you know, sort of take away the disparaging remarks he made previously. His whole thing was he couldn't get into the arena. He couldn't get into the space. He couldn't go and warm up because of the bomb threat, the swatting incident. So he's in his car for about an hour and a half before later than what he's supposed to be doing, warming up in the locker room and all that. And then and that's obviously not our fault. There was nothing more we could have done about it. You know, it's a small town. They're not used to these things. And they said, look, even if there's a 0.1% chance we have to do this, we're sorry. And I kind of get that. It's not like Wembley Arena gets these swatting calls for every single show and they handle it. They don't stop the show. They don't sweep and evacuate. They're used to it. So I get that. But it wasn't our fault. And then the other thing was one of the judges awarded the fight to his opponent, Jake. And I don't know what fight that judge was watching, but I understand the frustration. But again, we don't employ that judge. That's a state commission judge. You know, in America, you go by the state, and that's a Tennessee State Athletic Commission judge. So, you know, he was frustrated at that and then took it out on Misfits. And
Did you not
Alexia
think
Grace,
though, pre-fight though, Mams, his whole attitude through the press conference, it was, I can't be asked to be here, and that stinks to me.
that's the Nate Diaz school of promo. That's just the way they work. And you know what you're getting. I always knew, look, Chris Avia's not going to come and charm everyone's pants off with his vernacular.
Fair.
And what, it's not going to happen. He's the badass, don't give a fuck. Fuck all of you. My middle fingers and my fists do the talking for me. And
Yeah.
that's what we know we're going to get with him. So again, we can't expect different, but I did feel a little bit hosed by him blaming Misfits for something that was completely out of our control. And I appreciate that he corrected that with me at least, but I wish he also reiterated that online. Same thing happened with Alexia Grace. She, in my view, she lost that fight. What do you guys think?
That was a hard one to judge, to be honest. But I think she probably lost, right? I think Nikki had the edge. But I didn't see like this outburst that she had. She wasn't purposely trying to do it publicly, right? She was
Yeah.
just caught on camera having a freak out. So it's a little bit different than the Chris situation, in my opinion.
And that's the problem, man. It's happened to me. I was having a talk with Slim about his next fight because I've given him multiple different offers for his next fight, and I was talking to him. Next thing I know, I'm like, bro, are we? He's like, yeah, this is on my live stream. I'm like, for fuck's sake! Like everywhere you go, this is the new world. You know, you can barely shit without there being a camera and a microphone.
Right,
That girl, Alexia, personally, it was very hard to score because she was landing, it seemed like, a hell of a lot more punches, but the other girl had the technique and the power and was punishing her for like the sloppiness of it. Overall, I just thought it was a good fight. In a, you know, I know we do get a bit of sexism in fighting, and considering one guy turned up, ran away, didn't want to throw a punch, one guy actually wouldn't make the ring walk. You know what I mean? Like these two women really showed a lot of balls, and I was very impressed with both of them. So as much as she was upset, I think, you know, it was a good fight, and she did all right. Like, you know.
She did. She's got. Listen, we were joking on commentary about her being the female B. Dave. She can take a punch.
Yeah.
You know.
And if she learns how to fight properly, she's going to be a problem because she's very tall, very long, athletic. She just needs to listen to her coach a bit and do the footwork a bit better.
Footwork, if she turns her punches over and actually keeps her guard up instead of using her chin as her guard, she'll do really well.
Yeah.
So I hope she comes. I hope she comes back, and I hope, you know, she made a tweet saying, "Look, I got caught up in the emotion. I didn't know there was a camera in my face." So in her defense, you know,
I respected that.
very,
I seen that, and I thought, you know what? It's good because we have seen a few people who've like been in Misfits and been a bit, you know, controversial or said things afterwards. And I thought, well, yeah, I mean, in the heat of the moment, probably most fighters at some point have slagged off a promotion, like in their, because they're frustrated at what's happened. But I understood that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I thought that was. I was just gonna say, I thought that was proper entertainment, right? Like I thought that was like a bonus for Misfits. Like that made it exciting. Oh, some drama. Oh, she's pissed at the result. You know, it wasn't really like, yeah, Misfits fucked her over, right? I didn't get that at all.
No. But Nikki Rue displayed some good skill. Obviously, she's 3-0 now. She's the new champ. Keem, how do you think Astrid would fare if she decided to come back and challenge for that title?
You know, I'm pretty biased, but I think Astrid would, you know, figure out a way to win somehow, some way.
I love that.
You are a loyal man. Yeah, so that was a really good fight for me. It was a very entertaining one. And then Idris Virgo made a statement on Twitter recently saying, guys, look, I've been trolling. I'm not interested in fighting Ginty. I'm just messing around. Ginty and the likes. And he wants the winner of the Chris Avia fight, which was Chris Avia. How do you think that goes down? And is that a good fight to make?
I think it is a good fight to make. I think that Virgo's like an interesting character, and he's very quick on his feet, right? He has an interesting boxing style where he moves a lot, and I think that would be an interesting dynamic because Chris is more he's a bit slower on his feet, where he shuts off the ring and then he gets in your face, bounces some shots off, and then he peppers you. So I think it would be an interesting dynamic. It would almost be like a peppering, volume striker versus someone trying to find the big shot. And people just don't seem to be able to find the big shot on Chris. It's so weird. Like when you watch that guy fight, you're like, what is this guy doing? And then somehow, like Jake Boswick can scrap, man. That guy's a fighter, and he could not find the shot. He just couldn't find it on Chris. And I think with the big gloves, it gives people a lot of trouble. I think that people were finding the shots more when he was fighting in MMA, but once he puts those big gloves on, like he seems to be able to defend himself properly. So I think it's an interesting puzzle for a guy like Idris to solve. So I'm in for it. I like it.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think what Chris is really good at is actually winning the rounds, and scoring correctly and communicating constantly to the judges. This just hit my glove. This just hit my glove. And listen, psychologically, you're a judge and you're watching that. You're like, oh shit, I don't want to make a mistake here. I thought that was a good shot. He hit the glove. He does these clever little antics which work for him, but he clearly won most of the rounds anyway.
I like the personality clash. Chris against Idris. I can't think of two people we have who are more opposite. I like the ego, of Idris. It's entertaining. I just feel like unless you get tested, which to the outsiders, it didn't look like he had any interest in when he was consistently calling out YouTubers for a long time. It's not something that impresses anyone. When we see him tested is when he can then become a star or more of a star, if possible. But that's not going to happen unless he starts pushing himself. So let's see what he does.
Yeah, I agree with that. When he was calling out FaZe Temper, like it was just the most laughable shit ever about a year ago. And he's still doing it. Yeah, I like that fight. Him versus Chris. That seems really, really good.
I worry about the amount of rounds though, that's all, because I feel like I think we need a bit of a longer fight to really see who because they all they're clever, do you know what I mean? And they know how to ride shots and that. I feel like we need to find a winner, and we need a fair amount of rounds to get them tired and see who really wants it.
Yeah. Well, what do you think? We should move it to 5?
At least in my opinion. Like I want to see these two, because they're pros. So if you want to be a pro and you want to be considered a pro, should be a good few rounds where someone has to dig in, and we need to find out who really wants it. So yeah, I would say at least 5.
Yeah, I agree. We'll get to the best. We'll save the best for last, but Taylor Holder also. Calla was next to me, and he said, "Mate, I think you've got a ringer in there, the DWG of the Earth." He had some really weird but good bursts, and his stance and stuff looked like this guy could be a pro. Calla was like, "Mate, you've got a ringer. There's no way he hasn't fought before," which is a compliment to DWG. But then he gave away that he is, he's a novice and he's just starting with a couple of things that caught up to him. But for Taylor, his fight was against performing in front of the lights and overcoming the previous experience he had where he froze up. And him and I have been in constant communication, and that's something that he was very worried about. He's like, look, if I perform like I do in my gym sparring, I'll beat any of these guys. That's basically his thought, but I'm just hesitant. And he took this on a few days' notice, literally did. And he found, I remember his corner saying, let your bloody hands go, let your hands go. And when he did listen, he started to shine a little bit more. I think the potential's definitely there. With another couple of fights, he could hang there with any of the boys at that weight. What do you guys think?
I'm willing to bet taking this fight last minute probably helped his nerves than the buildup of months and months and months, and it's constantly in your head. That probably helped him. Just oh, I guess I'm fighting this weekend, So I was impressed with him. Not preparing for this fight, coming in and doing what he did. Round one, it was scary for Taylor Holder. Looked like the other guy, like you were saying, really had something. But to come out with a win, as fight fans and influencer boxing fans, we like to see redemption stories. This was a clear redemption story for Taylor Holder to finally get in the ring again and get a W. And then, of course, the buildup afterwards with Bryce Hall. I mean, Bryce Hall being there and those two talking shit right after. I mean, it was perfect. That was a highlight of the night that unfortunately will constantly be overlooked by the other mess that happened with the event.
Yeah, I agree. That was fun. What's next for Taylor Holder? Sorry, go ahead, Brian.
I'm actually enjoying watching Taylor. I enjoy his character. I think he's got talent. I think he just needs to get in the ring a lot more. I know him and Bryce are like want to fight. There's talk about where that happens. I don't know, but I mean, it's a logical destination considering they used to be friends. I'm not sure if Bryce is as confident as he's making out. When I see them interact with each other, and Taylor's going, "Oh, I'll fight," and then Bryce's like, "Oh, well, it has to be bare knuckle." He's like, "Yeah, I'll fight on bare knuckle." "Oh, well, now we have to donate your purse to charity," and you know what I mean? It's like there's a moving of the goalposts there, and it's not that I don't think Bryce is confident, but I don't know if they've sparred before and how that went, and sometimes things like that can linger. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean it's
Taylor's.
Go ahead.
I was just saying that Taylor's looking like a bigger guy when you look at the two of them. Bryce Hall's last opponent was a pretty small guy, and Taylor is not. I mean, when I saw him, he looked like he's at least 15 pounds heavier than the last time we saw him fight. He's older now. I think he's kind of getting into his like man strength. If you guys obviously know that feeling, once you start to actually be like, all right, I'm not 20 anymore. I can fill out a little bit more, and that's kind of what it's looking like with him. And then if you tie that to cardiovascularly, like being more prepared, right? Obviously, this was a last minute fight. Sure, he got caught a little bit, but he worked through it, right? DWG was offensively sound, but he wasn't defensively sound. His defense just wasn't there at all, and that was his problem. It was the kind of guy that hits mitts a lot but doesn't spar a lot, and so I think that he'll be better. But his offense wasn't to be disregarded. It was legitimate. And he caught Taylor a couple times, but Taylor went through it, made adjustments, was able to land the shot that either hurt DWG enough to zap his energy, or there was just a big adrenaline dump. I'm not sure what happened there, but it was one or the other. I mean, we saw that in the first KSI Logan Paul fight, that huge adrenaline dump that happens a lot, especially with the lights on. So I don't know. I mean, when I look at those two fighting, that's a very different fight than Bryce Hall's last fight. Like, I get it. I mean, Taylor's a serious, challenging opponent, and that's I think what makes people so excited about that is it's a great opportunity to be like, hey, Bryce, was that a fluke in bare knuckle, or are you better now? And he has the opportunity to prove that. I think that it has to be under the Misfits banner. It has to be boxing. It has to be the real sport. It can't be this like, oh man, this tough guy stuff. Like it's kind of silly to me. Go in there and box and see who's the better at it. But that's what I want to see.
I want to make sure.
Go ahead,
I want to make sure you guys and some of the fans know the backstory here. This is a real feud. This is a real beef. This isn't managers behind the scenes agreeing to do a fight and then let's hype it and let's build up a fight. No. Taylor Holder got canceled. He got hit with some allegations which were never proven to be true. And the person that took the lead in putting those allegations out there was Bryce Hall. And then Taylor Holder reacted by putting some allegations against Bryce Hall out in the internet. And again, that was never proven to be true. These two absolutely fucking hate each other. They hate each other. They want to kill each other. This is a real beef, right? This is coming from them trying to destroy each other's careers, their livelihoods. Like, so they hate each other. So there's a huge backstory with this. It's absolutely insane. And for someone that's been following the drama for what is it, 2.5 years at this point, the beef between them, if we get to see them in the ring, it's going to be something special.
You know what worries me is when there's this much on the line, and we've seen this with KSI and Jake Paul, where two egos who, where there's a lot to lose. Sometimes people don't want to even risk it, and I think that we've been seeing that for too long now. So I really hope we see this fight made, because it would be that what you've just said, Keem, sells it immediately.
It sells itself, doesn't it? And it's legit and it's real. They don't have to force it. It's kind of where we want more of that in the YouTube boxing, you know, like that's the origins of it. We're all about this. So let's hope we can make it happen.
Imagine a face-off. Imagine, like, you know, gloves are off style. Them two, you know, put someone in the middle and just they'll be seething at each other. They'll want to hurt each other.
And I can promise you, at the end of that, they will not shake hands. They won't be hugging like, "Oh, good fight." I can promise you that won't happen. That's been annoying me in influencer boxing since the very beginning, where you got people just trying to ruin the other person's livelihood, saying shit about their girlfriend, their mother, that like being so vile, and then they get in the ring and then they're best buddies afterwards. I'm like, what is this? You can't rob the fans of this buildup.
There could be a trilogy in this. There could be a 2 fights in this, and then afterwards they can make up and do a brand together that explodes. You never know. but basically, yes. What I don't think either of them appreciate or understand is how good that fight would be for their careers, outside of just boxing. How it. I know from experience with JJ that all of the boxing stuff that JJ's done has spilled over into so many other categories. And for a lot of the influencers, it's benefited them in ways that they haven't even seen coming. So I think something of this magnitude with their profiles, it just expands everything they're doing to a new level of reach that they haven't experienced yet. So I hope it happens for them and for us and for the fans.
Yeah, I mean, I'll give credit where it's due. Like, Bryce Hall's had one of the greatest rebrands I've ever seen in anyone ever. So this just is another great step towards that, like towards, you know, showing his new character and who he is. So it's great for him as well. I mean, it just feels like main event USA.
Yeah,
like,
here's my thing with Bryce though, and
fight.
I completely agree with you. His rebrand, the way he's taken the piss out of his old videos, perfect, genius, love it. Because we've all made those stupid moments, and he's going back and laughing at them and that sort of stuff. It's a great idea. But mate, it's been fucking ages since we've seen you in the ring, and you barely get in the ring. And he talks a lot about, I'm a bare knuckle fighter, and absolutely. But in order to give that energy, we need to consistently see you fighting, and I just don't see him in the ring enough. So it's like, you know, we were talking about the Deji fight. I understand that didn't happen. It might not have been his fault or whatever, but let's get in the ring soon.
Yeah. Yeah, and hopefully he will. I think if Bryce, last word on this, basically, if Bryce puts in the work, I think he could be a legitimate threat. I think he just needs to be disciplined and make it a priority. And I think it applies to a lot of characters out here that they might think, oh, I have to sacrifice the content I'm making and doing this and doing that. But I don't think that's necessarily true. And I think, if anything, this compounds it and expands it and makes it even bigger, whatever else they've got going on. That's basically something I've learned through JJ. So,
before I forget, can I talk about video production? Because I'm losing my mind watching these events at home, right? And a fighter's walking out to the ring. I can't even hear the walkout music. Like, what's the point of having walkout music? The whole point of that is to hype up this fighter that's coming out. There's not a mix. There's not an audio mix, but using a TriCaster and like putting the volume up on the outro music, you can't hear it. It's being picked up by secondary mics, or the audience will react, right, to something happening in the ring, and you can't hear the audience. And we're not even getting camera shots on the audience. Mams Taylor, there is not a single YouTuber that has over like let's say 3 million subscribers that couldn't by themselves do better video production, right? Like they would never put this type of video production on their YouTube channel. They would never. Wet Promotions, all right? Astrid had better video production than Misfits 13. And a lot of these Misfits events, what are they doing? Who are these people? Like, are they hiring people off of Craigslist? I thought you guys went to school for this. This is embarrassing. It's so embarrassing. And like, I know people don't notice this, but I notice it because it's like, you know, I'm I guess the entertainment guy. I notice how bad it is, and it's like, come on, bro. Like, what is the point of this? If the fighters are gonna sit there and train, and they're gonna hit pads, and they're gonna go through hell to get in the ring, then I want the person running the TriCaster and the volume button to just give it a little bit of fucking effort, a little bit of effort, because it's embarrassing.
Look, I can't argue with anything you said. It's been brought up with our partners, the broadcast partners, and I hope that this changes. I really do. We've been assured it will. The audio issues that week were just really bad, you know, and you know, we're all angry and upset about it, and we don't, you know, we just want it to change and improve because it's a big turnoff. It's not something that's serious. We have to really fix that no matter what. And I agree. If the atmosphere inside the arena is not emulated on the screen, we're doing ourselves a disservice.
I think they could do with looking at the WE and listening to when The Rock enters the arena on TV and how the sound is mixed it's unbelievably good. I mean, it's so good. So sometimes people need a reference. So let's send that over. Maybe.
Yeah.
No. Here's the thing. This is not a hardware issue. This is not, we don't have the right, you know, mic set up. That's not what's going on, because during the swatting, when you guys left, right, I was sending videos in the group chat. I'm like, this is so fucking bad. And I'm like making examples of like how the audio issues are all messed up. And you yelled at them. And when we came back, the audio was way improved. It was so much better after we came back from the swatting incident. So it's like they have the capability. Someone's just not doing their job. It's embarrassing.
Yeah, I wonder if there's someone trying to sabotage us in there, because it is really, really crazy and not acceptable. I agree. It has to change, and it will change. I'll see to it no matter what. And
It's like
I'm
the
sure,
equivalent
look,
of the cameraman not turning on the camera. It's the equivalent of that. It's like, what? You can't just not have the sound playing. Like, I don't know.
No, I know. And look, Zone, I'm sure the higher ups at the Zone aren't happy about that as well. So, you know, discussions need to be had to fix this. And I think we'll all be on the same page as a team to fix this ASAP. Now, the other topic is obviously Cray Cray. By the way, Riley, I know you keep saying Cray. How do you say it? Cra Cra. You say it very fancy.
I say it
think
wrong.
it's cray cray.
It's got to be some French in there or something. I don't know.
Yeah, it's very.
It's a weird nickname,
French
though, isn't
Canadian.
it? It's not one that, you know, you read it and you're like, like it's a weird name, to be fair to anyone.
Guys, this tournament is so exciting. I can't wait for it to continue. And I think that fight, I was negotiating with the head of the SWAT team at the time, so I had to watch it later. But I was so annoyed and I was so annoyed they didn't let the fight finish. And I went to the commission and I said, guys, please let's start where we left off. Start on round 3. And they're like, sorry, we can't do that. It's a no contest. I was like, cool. Then we're going to do a 3-round exhibition. And they said, sorry, we can't do that. And I was like, but it happened in this fight and it happened in that fight, not in Tennessee. So I was desperately trying to keep that fight alive, but
it was
anyway,
a good fight.
We
it felt like it
back.
was going to Cray Cray. It felt like Cray Cray was taking over quite quickly. This whole I don't get hit from Yuri gang. I mean, he was getting touched up and he didn't really seem to have much of an answer for it. And it felt like, I don't know. I still don't know how many rounds these fights were, because actually, well, here's the issue: is before Joey went out, they were telling him 4, and they also told him it was 8-ounce gloves, and before he went out, they told him it was 10. Like, there was a lot of confusion, and even now, he wasn't sort of sure what it was supposed to be in rounds. But it felt like Cray Cray was taking over, to be fair.
Yeah, I thought so watching it back. But listen, I think now it's an opportunity for Yudi Gang to go back, and they're both very excited to run it back. We'll be announcing that very soon. They'll be on one of the future cards in the very near future. And then the highlight night for myself and many, the knockout of the night artist, has taken the Misfits world by storm. He's come in 2 fights, 2 knockouts, class act, absolutely really, really easy to talk to get along with, cooperative, wants to just whatever. Oh, I'm on the prelims. Oh, I'm on this. I'm on that. I don't, he's just so chill, turns up. And what I was happy about, it was the highlight of the night for me when I told him, by the way, Joey, you won the prime knockout of the night bonus. And I told him, it's 25K extra and everything. And he came and gave me, it was a drunken hug, and he deserved to be drunk and celebrating at that point. Gave me a big hug. He was like, "You've really changed my life. Thank you." I was like, "No, you've changed the landscape of Misfits and the lightweight division. You deserve this so much." And he's such a humble, cool guy. I can't speak highly enough about him. And he's a great shit talker on top of that. Don't underestimate Joey Knight's shit talking skills. He's very good.
It's such a breath of fresh air when you come across like a fighter like that, or like a B Dave or a Chase Demore, Anthony Taylor. There's like so many misfit fighters that just are no problems, ready to get in the ring, enjoy the opportunity, and ready to put it all on. So I think with this kid, he's just like another B Dave. He's like another one of these company men that are just going to come in here and be a star in Misfits for sure.
Yeah, I agree.
But Joey Knight can fight. Joey Knight can scrap. I think that's something that people are not realizing is he's not only great qualities about him as a person, but him as a fighter. I think it's an even different thing. He is a violent man. I mean, even in the press conference, I remember I kind of mentioned it to him in the press conference where he would just turn and look at people and he would just freaking just stare at them the whole time, like not even his opponents. Like it was like Yeti Gang TV would say something and he was just locked on him, like, yeah, I'll fight you tomorrow too. Like it just felt like he was like, yeah, I'd fight any one of these guys, any weight class, I'll do it. He had that mentality about it. And then when he goes in and he gets in the ring, he took this dude's head off, like he absolutely went in there and showed up and showed out. No, like just ruthless, knocked him clean out with great skill and great power. So that's what adds that extra layer of excitement to me, at least. It's not, and Baby Hulk could scrap. I mean, Baby Hulk had hand speed. He had very good hand speed, and he brought it. And Joey Knight just outboxed him.
Baby Hulk
hits
off. Hard. Yeah, this is the thing that Joey told me afterwards. He went, the kid hit hard, like really hard, actually. So to be fair to Baby Hulk, watching it, my nerves were fucking going like big time because the kid came out violent. Joey said, I looked across the ring and he looked like a pit bull. Like he had this energy. I'm coming after you. And I was very proud with how Joey handled the storm and calmed the situation down and just dealt with him. Apparently, the coach of Joey had the stool out and and he put the stool away about like a minute and a half in because he was like, oh no, this isn't going to be needed here. We're not getting the stool out because this man's going down. Do you know? And this is the thing about Joey is he is a great guy, but as you've said rightly, mate, he is a violent man, and he is convinced he is going to win this tournament. And one of the main reasons is because of the size of him. Like he just is big and a lot stronger than I think a lot of these guys are going to be able to handle. And I think that gives him a great. He's a very well-rounded fighter. He's got the IQ, he's got good speed, good skill, good power, and he's also the biggest mistake I think some people might have thought is because he was quite skillful against Most Wanted. He's got that dog in him, and it's going to take a lot to stop him. And he's convinced that he's the man to dethrone Dean the Great.
Yeah. And a lot of people's favorite at this point is Joey Knight, Cray, Yudi, Waleed. Let's not forget Waleed. And a couple of dark horses as well. This tournament's got everything. I'm really, really excited for it and can't wait for it to progress. And then Cruiserweight tournament, I can't wait to reveal those names. The matchups are set, and that's going to be a banger too. But yeah, Joey Knight, excellent performance. Overall, I think Misfits 14 roll on, and you guys know the COD. We can't talk about it just yet, but it's a no-nonsense fighters card, isn't it? That they're all fights that you want to see, and I think we needed that after kind of the slight circus that we experienced.
I'm excited about that main event. George Foreman versus JJ. I mean, that's going to be a good one. It's going to be a real good one.
Yeah, yeah. No punches allowed. What are the rest of the rules? 5 seconds. I think it'll be great. All right, guys.
right.
Well, thank
Nice
you for
one.
everything. Anything else to bring up?
No, all good, mate. All good.
We're all
Thank
good?
you.